And then you got this really neat one I found, Space Age Lodge. There's a flying saucer on the sign. 1960 Gila Bend, Arizona, Space Age Lodge. Welcome back to SM Postcards. In today's video, got the normal agenda. I'm going to go through what's sold. That's what's sold in my larger store and stuff. Talk about some of the cards. It goes pretty quick. Then I'll tell you how I'm doing to my goal up to now for the year and what I sold in my average sale price. But I'll go through each card real quick and show you. Then the special topic. We did hotels a little while back on the video, but there's motels. And there is a difference. I'm going to go through about 5 things that make hotels and motels different. Basically, I do better with motels than I do hotels. But there's a lot of them out there. That's the special topic, the special card I do every week. And then I put a poll out on Saturdays. This poll got a lot of people voted on this poll. It's how many times have you called eBay in the last 6 months? Some people would say you can't even call them anymore. I don't know. But I did go out and look a little bit. So when we get into the poll, we'll see what people say about calling eBay. And then in the viewer comments, a lot of comments about the Knott's Berry Farm. More than I thought came in. So I picked out a few of those. People who live by there told their stories. And then there was a sports card seller that came in to the channel and asked some questions. So I'll stick around for viewer comments at the end. These are comments from you that I basically, it's not scripted out. I just respond in my opinion. Let's go ahead and get started on the what sold for overnight and see how I did. Remember, I want to do 16 cards a day, $80 a day, raise my ASP, and be very picky about sourcing. Now the sourcing part, this Friday, tomorrow, is an online auction locally, and he probably has about 800 postcards throughout the whole auction. And then he has a pack of trade cards and stuff that I'm going to be doing a video this year on. So I'm looking probably to spend a good amount of money, because his auctions go a little higher, but lately I haven't been able to find a good batch of cards at his auctions or around. But this one seems pretty good. The prices so far going in tomorrow are not really outrageous, so I might be able to pick them up. If I do, I'll show a few of them on the upcoming videos. But that's what you look for. You kind of look, every once in a while things will dry up, you just don't hear anything, and all of a sudden you see 3 lots of postcards or 4, or an album like this one. There's a really nice album in this auction, but I'll show those if I do get them. But the first card sold is one of those prints, matte and matte, real light cardstock. This is the USS Sea Dragon, SSN 584. SSN is a submarine. Nice looking one. $4.75. This is greetings from Gala, Nebraska. I don't have a lot of Nebraska postcards, so whenever I see a Nebraska lot, I try to pick it up for a good price, because the Midwest and Nebraska and Kansas, I don't have a lot of. Kansas doesn't do as well, but Nebraska does pretty good. So I pick them up, and this is just a view card of a sunset or sunrise over a lake, and Lake Mac at sunset. Gala, A-G-A-L-L-A-L-A, Nebraska. Unposted chrome card, $4.75. This person bought 2 cards for a total of $25.46. They bought, I had duplicates, and I put them on one listing, 2 of them. And this is Christmas Eve in Monon Land. Now this is a train, I believe, a railroad right there on the back. And when I saw that, and I priced these up at like $12 or so, and these are just linen cards, a few, but in the back there you can see there's a train. So I got $25.46 for 2 linen cards with this name on it. So you want to see that? I don't know if that's something, but if I remember right, I figured it was something special, or maybe I comped it, and that's why I went higher. But that was 2 cards. And those will go eBay standard envelopes, since they're under $20 each and not over $50 for the order on there. This card sold for $5.65. It's the Diamond House. And if I remember right, why I raised it off my minimum of $4.75, it's got the word diamond in it. I figured it'll be worth a little bit more. Diamond House, House of David, Benton Harbor. House of David clicks in my mind. I've sold a lot of different postcards for the House of David, especially the real photos do very well. So make sure you raise them up a little bit and sit on them, because they, to me, they do sell for me, and hopefully they will you. But this is the Diamond House, and there's a yard party going on or something. Linen card, unposted, and that sold for $5.65. I've sold more of these in the last 8 months than ever. National Postcard Week, Glen Falls. These postcards coming out every year when the National Postcard Week come out. $4.75. Probably the same guy bought all those other ones. This is just a view card of cute gals enjoying the late fall beauty in Goodman Park. Maybe they grew up by there. It's a view card of a lake, some kids sitting. $4.75. This one is $5.65. It's a statue of Pocahontas. I've sold this card. It's a white border card. This way. White border card of the statue of Pocahontas. And I think it's in Jamestown Island, Virginia. Unposted. And that sold for $5.65. Now, I sold 3 of these cards for $15.51. I like buying small niche down lots, and I got this one, I can't remember where, but it's a Route 66. They're a little bit bigger than Continental, just a little bit, so I had to put them in a different box to make sure they don't bend, because they're on like a linen non-pressed paper. The ink is raised a little bit, but they have different scenes. I got about 60 of them, and I'm about probably a little over half sold already, so I got my money back. This is Odell, Illinois. That's about west of me, about 40 minutes on Route 66. So this person bought that one. This is the Halltown, Missouri one. I think this is some artist down there, and I made sure I put that artist in there because I wasn't for sure how these were going to go. And that one, and then this is the Mobile Information Center right there. So she bought 3. If I remember right, I think she might have came in and bought some other ones I had too. But 3 cards for $15.51. I probably have 20 cents into these cards each. Next one sold for $5.65. Another linen card. Buffalo's Theater Restaurant. Chesame, home of the Revolving Bar. Revolving Bar. Nice looking linen card. Really popped out. Unposted. And that sold for $5.65. Another view card. Summit Lake and Hagerman Peak near Aspen, Colorado. Yeah, it goes this way. White border card. Oh, that's a chrome card. And it's posted. And that was just a view card, $4.65. And then this is another ship. This is on heavier paper on there. And it's an older boat, it looks like. USS Nitro. AE-2. I sold that one for $4.75. So I sold 14 cards. I'm 2 down from my 16 I want to do. I want to do $80 a day, which gets me about $30,000 gross a year. And by the time everything comes out, I put about $1,000 to $1,200 in my pocket clear a month. Average through the year. Some months are lower, some months are higher. The first of the year, I'm pretty poor. I'm paying for my backup software, my insurance, and all these other things. My postal box, my P.O. box was $182 this year. About $10 to $15 a month. But it's well worth it, because everything for the business goes to that P.O. box. And I go there probably 3 or 4 times a week just to check on it and drop stuff off and things. It's not far for me, and I don't mind getting out. But all those bills usually come in January to March. And then after March, I don't really have any out of normal monthly bills. Most of my stuff is paid for, but all year long, I put a certain amount of money away in one of my bank accounts to pay all that and to pay my taxes. All that is put in there for those bigger bills. The monthly stuff I can handle, no problem. It's when that, $200 insurance bill come in, or that $125 other bill. Those are the ones that you want to save up, because it's about $10, $15 a month. Just put it away, and then when it comes up, you just transfer the money and pay it, or you just pay it if you can. So I have a little account that I keep all that longer term stuff in. But $89, so I sold 14 cards, $89.46 gross. You can do what you want with that number. So I'm over to $80. I'm 2 down from the cards, but I made my money, and my average sale price today was $6.39. So that went pretty good up there. That's doing pretty good today. Now the other day, I think I maybe sold 8 cards and did $50. I had a lower payout this week as well. But they average out for the month or year to date. I'm about 14 to 15 cards. So my 16 is not far off. I'm way over to $80, and my ASP is still going up. And I am being very picky about buying postcards. I'm not spending a lot of money this year because I have a lot of back stuff I want to get rid of. I want to get down to the point where I have enough for the lots for Ko-Fi, enough for next year, and stuff like that. A little padding in case I don't find any and stuff, but I don't want all this stock laying around me. And I have enough listed. And we'll see how that goes. That's what's sold. Now we're going to get into motels. Not hotels, it's motels with an M. There is a difference, and after I go through a little history and build a little foundation about motels here, and I got one fact, I'm going to show you some postcards while I do that of motels I found out there so you get an idea what they look like. But I'm going to go through about 5 or 6 differences between a hotel and a motel. Here we go. Motels. The history of motels is a fascinating journey that began in the earliest 20th century, revolutionizing the way people travel and stay overnight. The term motel is a blend of motor and hotel, reflecting their initial purpose of providing convenient accommodations for travelers with automobiles. In the late 1920s and 1930s, as more people started to own cars and hit the road for adventures, the need for places to stay along highways grew. This led to the birth of motels, which are typically small roadside establishments offering basic amenities, like a bed, bathroom, parking space for your car, place to put your head down at night. One significant milestone in motel history was the opening of the Milestone Motel in San Luis Obispo, California in 1925. It's often considered one of the first true motels, featuring individual cabins with garages for guest cars. As the popularity of motels soared, they evolved in design and services. During the mid-20th century, many motels embraced eye-catching architectural styles, themes to attract travelers. In the 1950s and 1960s are often referred to as the golden age of motels, with iconic neon signs and roadside attractions becoming common sights along highways. Like I sold those Route 66 cards. You can find a lot of neat things along that road. In recent decades, the motel industry has continued to evolve with the introduction of national motel chains and a renovation of older historic motels, while the roadside motel might not be as dominant as it once was due to the rise of large hotel chains. It still holds a special place in American culture and continues to offer affordable and convenient lodging options for travelers looking for a unique, nostalgic experience on the open road. Motel postcards have a fascinating history dating back to the mid-20th century when they first became popular icons of American road culture. These postcards, adorned with vibrant illustrations and photographs, showcase the unique charm of the roadside motels, capturing the essence of adventure and wanderlust during the heyday of cross-country travel. Most postcards not only served as mementos for travelers, but also marketing tools for motel owners, enticing weary road trippers with promises of comfortable beds and warm welcome. Today, these vintage postcards offer a nostalgic glimpse into the bygone era of travel and remain cherished collectibles that celebrate the romance of the open road. I put one fact here since I went through a lot there. The world's smallest motel, aptly named the tiniest motel, that's the name, is located in Long Key, Florida. It consists of one room. It's the smallest accommodation of its kind globally. So it's one room. So it's the smallest motel. Now, hotel and motels both provide temporary lodging for travelers, but there are some key differences between the two. And I'm going to walk through 5 different things that differentiate hotels and motels that I found. The first one is location. Motels are typically located along highways, motels or major roadways, catering to travelers who need a convenient place to stay during their journey. Hotels, on the other hand, are often found in urban and touristy areas, catering to the variety of travelers including tourists, business people, and conference attendees. So location is a key thing. Then the design and layout of a hotel or motel. Motels often have a layout where guests can park their vehicles in front of their rooms, allowing for easy access to their accommodations. Hotels typically have multiple floors with rooms accessed by interior hallways and elevators. Size and amenities. Hotels tend to be larger establishments with more amenities such as restaurants, bars, swimming pools, fitness centers, conference rooms, and other services. Motels are usually smaller and may offer fewer amenities, although some may still provide basic features like free Wi-Fi and continental breakfasts. And then the price. Generally, motels are more budget-friendly compared to hotels, as they cater to travelers looking for more affordable accommodations for shorter stays. So like when I'm on the road, I usually drive until I drop. You know, when I'm getting, I don't like driving at night that much, so I'll go until it gets to a point in the night and I'll start looking for signs and I'll pull over and ask if they have a room. That's a motel. Now, if I'm staying in a place for a convention or something like that, it's usually done in hotels. Then the length of stay is the last one. While both hotels and motels accommodate short-term stays, hotels are often more geared towards longer stays, offering services and amenities suitable for extended periods such as room service and laundry facilities. Those are 5 things that differentiate motel to hotel. Overall, the choice between a hotel and motel often depends on factors such as location, budget, desired amenities, and the length of stay. So that's the difference between hotel and motel. Like I said, motels seem to do better for me. And we'll get into pricing here in a second. But do they sell? You know, can they rent rooms? Can we sell the postcards? There's a lot of them out there from the 50s and 60s. If you look out there, there's like 100,000 motel postcards listed on eBay when I did a snapshot. But I usually gauge it by this little thing here. The red is 0 to 3% sell-through rate. It means how many cards are moving through eBay at any given time I do this. It's not scientific. I'm not looking for the last card. I'm just looking to say, hey, should I pick this up? Go to a postcard store, you're looking through a box of cards or stuff. You can't comp every one and add all that up. You got to make an educated guess, get them home, and see if you won or lost. Sometimes you lose, and you learn. The next time, I'm not going to pick up 1,000 view cards at the Grand Canyon and national parks for that amount of money. Some of those will sell. There might be a couple good ones, but you don't pay top dollars for those. Motels, I pay. To me, motels are one of the things I like. So the 0 to 3% sell-through rate, low. I work in the 4 to 10%, the average and higher. That's when I look. And when I find those, I'll pick up some duds, some reds, but I also find some of the very high ones. And I've found some very, very high ones in the boxes that people miss. I miss things too. How many Hold to the Light postcards, the thicker ones and die cuts, have you missed because you haven't pulled them out to see really what they are? There's no way to know. But I know I missed some, but I look for thickness of the cards and stuff too, especially holiday cards, to see if they're Hold to the Light. But I went out there in eBay and I just put Postcard Motel. There's 5,900 sold. So you take sold divided by listed times 100, gives you the percent. 5,900 sold, 100,000 listed. Times 100, 6%. So it's a 6% sell-through rate, which falls right in the average. So you don't want to pay top dollar for them, but you don't want to pay lower. They're going to sell, but the high and the very high will sell more, but they're going to sell higher than that. So it's a good average card is motels. But you got to bump them up against other things to see if that 6% is the right way to do it. So I went out there and I found 4 things, or 3 things, and plus the motel. Postcard hostels. Hostels are those little things they all bunch together in a room and they spend the night and stuff like that. There's 78 of them and 254 listed. So 78 sold, 31%. So if you got any hostels out there, do some homework. I don't have any, I checked, but 31%. Postcard lodge. Lodge is another thing, like a hotel motel, just a different name, I think. 2,200 are sold with 33,000 listed. 7%. So that kind of falls in there. Hostel kind of throws it out. It's a different category, I think. There's not a lot of them. I think it's a number of cards out there, too, really, in the denominator that throws these percents off a little. Not off, but chews it up a little bit. So the hostel only have 254, where lodges have 33,000. So that denominator can do some things to that. And then you got Postcard Motel, 5,900, 100,000 listed, 6%. So the 6 and 7, then the hotel is 4%. There's 15,000 sold, 370,000 listed. So there's a lot of motels out there. The hotels, you'll find them all over. The ones I like are the ones that burn down. That's bad, but they were made of wood back in the early days. There's one that starts with an M, Montgomery or something like that. I've sold that one a few times. The disaster card is what it's called. But there's lobbies, there's the bar, there's the rooms and stuff. But motels, also you want to check out and see if the TV is on. So if you got a picture of the motel room and there's a TV and the TV's on, some collectors collect those. And watch this video here. John from Popeye's Postcards told me about that. And I never really knew about it. But there's a trifecta. If you got the sign, the room, and the TV or whatever, you get 3 things is what the big thing is. It doesn't give you a lot more money, no, but it's a nice novelty. Bump it up $1 or so and say TV on and the title. Just go out there and put Postcard TV on and see what you get. But that video I went through and did that. So the sell-through rate motel cards, 5-6%. It says 6. Average card. But there's some really good ones I'm going to show you on the prices. That you gotta look at the city and town mostly. And some of the attractions they put outside, some of the signage and stuff. But I went out there and I find the extreme pricing. The top stuff, not the $1,000 graded ones and stuff. I look for the consistent high ones, the extreme pricing I call it. And I found 3. Found 2 on WorthPoint and 1 on eBay. This is the panoramic card. Means they're longer. They usually fold together and they're longer postcards. So this is a standard 3.5 by 5.5 card. A panoramic card is going to be long. It's going to be like that, and they're going to sometimes fold together, and they're called panoramic cards. I usually don't deal with them because they don't fit in the box as well. I have envelopes for them and stuff, but I have a person that I usually give those to. I don't get a lot of them. They'll come in lots. You'll find them on the side of boxes and stuff. But this is San Obispo, California, circa 1930 panoramic postcard. $158. Sold in 2020. $150 for a panoramic postcard. That's probably the biggest one I've seen for panoramic because I don't focus on those that much. Then the next one is the English Motel, Amarillo, Texas, on Route 66. $152. So we got 2 there for $150 at the high watermark. And that's not a real zoomed in shot. It's kind of pulled out. Looks like a chrome card. So it must not be there anymore or something like that. Someone did some homework and they got what they wanted for it. And then you got this really neat one I found, Space Age Lodge. There's a flying saucer on the sign. 1960 Gila Bend, Arizona, Space Age Lodge. It's a Best Western hotel. And they put some keywords in there, hotel, motel, alien. It's a motel. It says right on the sign. $125 best offer, probably took $115. So a $100 card, probably because of that sign. That's what you want to look for the higher one. So always take a real close look at motels. I don't probably look at hotels as closely as I do motels. And I bought a big stack of them. I start motels at a higher price, usually $1 more, $5.75. I will throw a bone out there and throw some out for $4.75 just as little teasers or normal things, but most of them start at $5.75 and above. Now I've sold some really good ones. But let's get down to earth and what is the consistent average high watermark for these? A lot of the motels are going to be average cards because their average sell-through rate, they're going to be $4.75 to $5.75 to $6, $7. They're not going to be really high. So not every one you need to price at $20, $30 like you're going to see here. This is the higher ones. Someone did their homework and put them up there and got what they needed. If you don't do your homework on them, you're going to sell them as an average card. I try to make sure I give it a second or third look. First one here, I got 3 of them. 1986 Elite Motel Kings Valley Road, Jed Smith, Crescent City, California postcard. $30 best offer. Maybe took 25. It's just a out shot of the thing. Got a boat or something in a trailer or something in the thing in the parking lot. Then you got another one, 1950 Shamrock Motel. Shamrock Motel sounds pretty cool. So a multi-view. It's got 3 views. It's got a dining room, it's got the outside pool area, and it's got a picture of the sign and stuff like that. Restaurant, Mississippi It's in Corinth, Mississippi, $30. So $25–$30 so far for two cards. Then you got Capri Motel Cafe Scene, exterior roadside, Renton, New Mexico. Another New Mexico one, and that's for $20, $22. So I would say $20 to $25 to $30 for the good ones. Yeah, and these are chrome cards. One of them's from 1980. They got $25 for $25. Motels are the ones I key on more than hotels, and I like them. They're easy to list. They have everything on there basically that you need to put in there. You just put postcard, name of the and it usually has motel, and then the city and the town. That's basically all it needs. That's what people are looking for. They got torn down, or they changed hands, or they were on the roads in the 50s and 60s and they stayed there. Their family usually stayed at the same ones all the time on their yearly vacations. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of stuff. And a lot of other things happen in hotels too, motels. So would I pass them up? Never. I never pass up a motel card, unless it's priced way out there. I can't. You gotta buy them for a good price. But would I pick up, if I had a chance to pick up 100 motels or 100 hotels, I definitely would pick up the motels first. Hotels, I'll pick them up, but motels seem to do better for me. I'll keep the lights on for you. Thanks. Now every Saturday I put a poll out. It goes out 9 to 10 Central Time, somewhere around there in the morning. It's just short questions for you to vote on. If you vote and don't put a comment, I have no idea who did what. But if you put a comment, I usually see the name and the comment. So it's not, everybody can see it, so I consider it public. But if you just want to vote, you can just click and go on your phone or whatever. But if you want to send me a message about stuff, you can send it in email. Try not to send it in eBay because I can't reply there. The bots and stuff. eBay don't like to reply to a lot of things in there. But this one was, how many times have you called eBay in the last 6 months? In the last 2.5 years, I think I called them once. And that was because someone bought a $4 postcard or a $5 postcard, and I got a charge back. No, I refunded them because it was going back and forth, if I remember right. I wasn't playing with a $4 card. Here's your money, go away. Well, then all of a sudden, a week later, I get a charge back for the same order. Now, I wasn't worried about $4, but also I wasn't going to let the person get money twice. Got it from me and was going to get it from eBay. So I just made a call. And back then, I could go to the website and says, call me back. And they called me, and I talked to a really nice lady. She, just looking at it, she understood exactly what was going on after I talked to her, and promised to call me back and stuff like that, and told me how it works. And I just told her, I said, I'm not worried about the cash. It's the principle of thing. How does your system allow me to refund and then this person put a charge back? And she says that comes from the credit card companies or whatever in a different way than my refund. It will sync up and they will see it, but there is a chance that he could get twice. But she's going to make sure it doesn't happen. And she said she's going to call me back and when they get the results back from the chargeback. Well, guess what? Next morning I look at my account, I get a message, and then she called me that day and said, we took care of this. He can only get money back for one time. So my refund, I received my refund back for, I don't know why. I got my $4 for the card. He got his $4, so eBay just made us whole. And then when the chargeback comes in, everything's basically done, she said. Never heard another word. That's the last time I called eBay. Can't think of any other time that I need to. eBay is not going to run your business. If you have a slow sales weekend and you call up there and say, why don't I have any sales? They're not going to run your business. They give you a place to put your stuff. They can't tell you what to do because they don't know everything you do. So I don't call them. Some people will get on there and about a neutral or whatever. There's tools for that. Now, I spent my career integrating things that I worked in a union shop for years. I wasn't union, I was management. So there's bargaining unit and non-bargaining unit. So bargaining unit was union, and they were under a contract. Stipulated in that contract, the only way we could reduce headcount on the floor is by technology. But we had to give them like a 30-day letter on there. So they'd say they want to reduce headcount by 20% this year. Say it's 20 people. How can we do that? Well, we look at their work, the managers and stuff, we'll look at their process and stuff. Well, we can, if we automate this piece of it, We don't need her sorting these things every day. The system can do it. Can you do that? So they give me the requirements. I would look to them, give them to my team, and we'd sit down and brainstorm and see if something we can do, if there's a product out there already made or we need to develop something and stuff like that. Then we come back with 2 or 3 options and they say yeah or nay. Well, then we would go ahead and implement that, and then we get it tested and ready to go, and then we give them a 30-day notice. And most of the time people didn't lose their jobs, they just put them in a different apartment, or if they knew this was coming and people leave the company for retirement or other reasons and stuff. So attrition will take out 75% of the people over time, because sometimes some of these things would take us all year to develop. There were so many pieces with my team and stuff like that. But that's why eBay's having a problem now. People are saying they can't get a hold of them. Well, what are you calling them about? They have automated tools. Everybody knows. I worked in the world with voicemail where you got to push all the buttons and get to somebody. Auto attendant was the biggest labor saver there ever was. And that's when you call a company, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. They used to have a person answer the phone. Now they don't have to pay that person to do that, or that person can do other things. Walking in a lot of places, they just have a sign on the desk back in those days. And my systems that I put in did that. But this one was how many times you called. 69% says they never call them. That's good. You don't have problems. You're running your business. Yeah, there's problems with eBay's site and stuff like that. You can call them and put a ticket in or whatever, but anymore, what's it do? It just takes up your time. Next one is 1 to 2 times. There's probably that one thing like with the chargeback thing with me, or something with your payment or your account, but never a customer problem. I never call them about a customer problem. I deal with the customers. If I get a negative or whatever, and I don't think it's right, I don't get them that often. I'm about due. I usually carry 1 or 2 a year, just somebody doesn't like something. Someone's not going to like something. It's not personal. And I'll go in the tool, and if I don't think it's right, and I'll show you here in a second, there's a removal tool. And a lot of times they say no. Lately they've been pushing back a little bit. Neutrals I don't care about. Negative, positive I don't care about. They sell so many cars it just gets hidden. You go on Amazon, you see all this stuff. So I don't call them about feedback and stuff like that. And then 1% 3 to 4 times, 5 plus 2% other is 4. And we'll get into whatever the other is. So do you call eBay? Are you constantly on the fence calling them? I don't see it why I would want to call them. But I got some comments from people. Wandering Ghoul, Zombie. I try to avoid calling anyone as much as possible, of course. You just sit out there and stuff like that. Thanks, Wandering. Then Sergeant Rock, if I have a reason to contact them, I always use the chat function. Yeah, there's a chat function out there. There's eBay for Business on Facebook, or that tool I'm going to show you here in a second. And you can find it by going to help and just say contact, and you'll see the contact. You got to go through a few screens. These companies are not going to make it easy for you to use their staff. They're going to have you dig a little bit. It's done. That's the way it's done. We don't, with our company, we didn't put a button on the website to say call us. Now by regulatory standards and stuff like that, they can call the 800 number. And then there's options in there. But most of the time, 20% of the people give us 80% of the calls. 20% of our customers get us 80% of our volume. And why did people call us? They didn't have money to pay their bills. It's summertime, they got a high bill. So we had a special group just to handle high bills. And we gave, different things. Or if there's outages in our thing. It was a utility I worked for. The system when put together, it can do 100,000 calls an hour automated. It'll put a ticket in for them, and it'll give them status, the whole work, and when it closes, it'll call them back and give them status. So we automated that all over there, and it can do 100,000 calls. We did 1 million calls in 4 days one time, and the system handled it. Those are calls that didn't have to go to an agent or stuff that went to the system, and then the dispatch centers got it, and they knew where the problems were. They'd send out the trouble guys, then they engineer a fix and stuff. So it just sped up the whole process. So using the chat function, using these automated tools, they're geared toward that. It's going to give you better things than talking on the phone. A lot of people say, I want to talk to someone. Well, you're probably going to get the minimum wage worker. You're not going to get behind the wall to the other people. You're going to get the front enders. The chat stuff, it's written, they can look at it, they do a better job with it. So I like that type of stuff. But it takes a different skill to do chat and those automated things than it does to talk on the phone. People have to learn how to write. We never implemented it when I was there because these people probably wouldn't do the greatest because they, 20, 30 years, a lot of these people stayed around forever. They didn't do 2, 3 chat sections. The younger employees coming in are used to that. So we had a big learning curve on a lot. I think it's implemented now, I'm not for sure. I've been gone for about 5 years. But thanks, Sergeant. And then Stephen Holden said, I have heard in the last 6 months you cannot even talk to anyone on eBay. Heard that from several people who have tried to call them. Stephen, I think you're right. And I'll show you here in a second. I don't call them that much. I'm not an expert on call and error. But I think Stephen's right here. I've heard it too that they took that feature out. Thanks, Stephen. Then CJ Penning came in and says, I wonder what other could be. So I always put an other, put an out in the polls. Could be eBay called you? Exactly, CJ. I replied to him. They called me about, I don't know, a couple months ago or last year. I can't remember. They called me and I said, oh God, why is eBay calling my cell phone? I never get a call from eBay. I'm saying, oh boy, here we go. So you always go down that cliff and you're sitting there, okay, I got to deal with this. There goes my day. But basically what it was is some guy on there, nice guy, they're doing their job. You don't want to beat up on the people doing their jobs. At least they're working. And so they're following orders and they wanted to know why I wasn't using the eBay international thing. I said, I sell postcards. You do? I said, yeah, look at the name of my account, SMPostcards. Oh, I said, you have a letter option like eBay standard envelope for international? No, we don't. I said, okay, this was a quick call. He said, yes, it was. Have a nice day. No, I don't use the international shipping program. I never used the GSP one when they had it. Basically, I shipped everything directly. 4 pounds and under back then, I would just ship it directly and stuff. I didn't use all that stuff. That's the only time eBay's called me, and that's why the other. Thanks, CJ. Then Larry Way Out, 0 phone calls. I have successfully managed eBay managed eBay for business on Facebook 3 times for removal of 2 neutrals and 1 negative feedback. I would say most of the calls to eBay is going to be about feedback. And people say, well, they need to get rid of feedback. Do you know eBay probably loves feedback because buyers police themselves with that? It's a self-policing tool. They can make it a little bit better. They're trying to reduce calls to them. If you get a negative feedback, it's between me and the customer. I'm not going to call eBay. Now, if they put a negative for postal stuff, you can use the tool I'm going to show you here in a second to get rid of some of that stuff. But I don't dwell on feedback. And when I look in the metrics on eBay, there's nothing in there enough. I see people with a lot of that stuff, but I don't get a lot of it. I'll get 1 or 2 a year. I got a neutral out there, stuff like this, a positive neutral, just stuff like that. I don't lose sleep over feedback. It's just someone else's opinion. Some people might be other sellers. You never know the whole story. So you got to have some thick skin in business. And it's not going to make or break your business if you get 1 negative. Showing 100% up there just means, when I have 98%, I bleed. I'm mortal. Things happen. I miss a card or I didn't catch something. It's going to happen. It happens at McDonald's. You don't, got a bun and pickles and they forgot to put the meat in it. Things happen. But people go from 0 to 60 so fast anymore to see if they can get something free, or they just want to beat a hall monitor or everything. So, but Larry's done it 3 times and successfully did it through the automated tools. So why wouldn't eBay start, instead of paying someone, use the tools? They're free. Basically, there's no labor. Remember, machines don't go to the bathroom. Machines aren't late to work. They don't take vacation. They don't have insurance. They don't have all the benefits. Machines are just machines. You pay the maintenance charge and stuff. Yeah, they do break once in a while, but anymore you can pretty well get them back up in a better time than you did years ago. So why wouldn't you go to technology? That's the way it's been going for years. I built a career on integrating and putting stuff like this in. I went out there and I just said, let me see, Stephen. Stephen's saying he's heard what I heard, that you can't contact him. There's no way to do it. And last time I did it years ago, it said call me back feature. Call me back at this number, and all of a sudden I get a call in 5 minutes. So I went out there and I clicked on it, contact us. I went to help, and I went down to the bottom of the screen. It says contact us on this screen, like this screen here. Get help you need from our automated assistant, or contact an agent. Oh, contact an agent. Maybe I can call them. They'll call me back. I clicked on it, And I didn't find any of that callback stuff. I didn't see anywhere anybody would call me back or I had a number to call. The whole works. What I did find is this tool here. When I put in there remove food bank, when I clicked on, I think it was a defect, remove defect. It pops up with this little tool here. There's certain things you can do with this. You can request assistance, report issues with buyers, and get help with feedback and defects on your account. Then you got requests for remove feedback. And I'm going to show you the screen that I have because I have that neutral I got in. And on that one, so hang on a second. Then request to remove defects, item out of stock or different things like that, any kind of defects. Request for selling limit increase. That's a good one. When you're starting postcards, they might only let you put up 20 a month. Well, you got to go through it the first 2 months and stuff, and as you increase, you can always request more. And that's how you do it. They'll ask you maybe how much each of your items cost because they have to do $1 and a number. And I remember when I went into the postcard store, I could only list so many a month. And now it's billions or whatever. It's way up there. I'll never hit it anymore. But that's another way. Report an issue with a buyer and then need more help. So I clicked on that. Didn't get anywhere. Stephen's right. What we heard, Stephen, is right. I didn't see a place where I can get a hold of eBay. If anybody knows how to do that, let us know. And then when I clicked on remove feedback, usually it pops up and this is what it looks like. If you feel someone has left you improper feedback, you can send a request to have it removed. We'll look into it and remove anything that doesn't follow our policy. And you can put different drop down that says last 30 days. So I put that in there and look what popped up. This popped up, postcard, it's a map of Mississippi. I remember this one. The person said it wasn't there yet. Well, that was during the ice storms we had this year, earlier in the year and stuff. And I told them, give it a little bit of time. I'll contact you at a certain date, not too far off, so I didn't trigger him. And he agreed. And I said, if not, don't worry, you're fully covered with us if you don't get this card. It's just that it says delayed in the tracking and stuff, and some of these trunks haven't left the post office in a couple of days. Well, he got it. He sent me a message and said, hey, I got the postcard, thank you. And then he put a neutral in. It finally arrived, talked to the seller, and we decided it was late due to weather. It's all good. Now, why would I remove that neutral? That's a positive comment that I dealt with a customer. I'm not good. That's advertisement. There's nothing wrong with that. He just basically wasn't happy with the shipping, but it wasn't bad. It's all good. So he threw it in the middle. I'm fine with that. I'll leave the neutral there. I'm not going to fight just because my little thing says neutral. It doesn't hurt. But that's how the tool went out and found anything that you can move on. So that's a little tool out there. You can go to help on eBay. I do have a link in the video description how to do that. Goes right to the tool. But you can do all those things on there. But yeah, I don't get upset that eBay is reducing cost by not being able to call them because it's not part of my normal everyday work. It doesn't affect me. It affects me so small that I'm not concerned about it. And I don't sell $1,000 items. Now, I think if you have anchor support, you might get a little bit more. Not for sure, but I don't normally call them that often. I can do everything through there, and I run my business. I don't have eBay run my business, and I don't expect them to. That's the poll every Saturday. Go out there and check these out real quick. Yes, no, stuff like that. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell icon, little thing in the corner here. Best free thing you can do for the channel is subscribe. And it's good for you since you get notified of all the stuff I put out there. I use the community channel and polls heavily to communicate to viewers. Things I see or people send me stuff, or I have stuff going out, quizzes and other things. Now we're going to get into viewer comments. I put 5 of them here because 2 of them are basically about a story about Knott's Berry Farm. Their experiences with it. The first one came from Cyber Dan. He's the lighthouse museum guy that sleeps in haunted lighthouses. Before retiring, moving to Northern California, I lived about 5 miles from Knott's Berry Farm. During November, I could always get in for free as a veteran. We could bring one guest, so my daughter and I would go. The wife wasn't interested. From very young through high school. When I was much younger, across the street was the California Alligator Farm. It's closed. It closed a while ago. So you had an alligator farm, and you live right by Knott's Berry Farm. 5 miles away and get free entry. That would have been great, Dan. Thanks for sharing. Then Larry DeWin, when I was in graduate school in 1963, wow, was that 60 years ago? A little over 60 years ago. I roomed at a place that was in walking distance of Knott's Berry Farm. I didn't have a car, so after studies and for entertainment, I would walk over to Knott's Berry Farm. That's pretty cool. The thing I remember most was listening to this guy playing the banjo. He had colored lights in his banjo, red and green, he thinks, and it was neat because as it got dark, the banjo showed quite nicely. That would be neat to see. People would call out tunes and he would play them. Some musicians are just amazing. I don't have an ear for music. I just, whatever comes on the radio. I probably couldn't even tell you the band. Sometimes I can get around a year in my life that brings back memories of different things, but I don't have an ear for all that. It's really neat. It was a great place. The story is that Walt Disney used to take his kids there when he was first starting, and that's the seed of his idea for Disney World and Disneyland. Interesting. So I did a video on Knott's Berry Farm. It was new to me. I seen the cards and stuff like that, but there are some interesting cards in there. There's an interesting story in that video about Knott's Berry Farm. I don't know if I'll ever make it there, but I thought it was interesting. Thanks, guys. And then Sandy. It sounds like she's starting postcards and getting into it, and she has this problem. And these are the type of questions I have no problem answering, and other people can too. Sandy says, I ended up with cards that were taped into an album. Do you or anyone else try to peel the tape off? If so, how? Or do you sell it at a low price and just leave the tape on? I bought a scrapbook that had some with and without tape. So I replied to her, I usually don't buy albums unless I can see them and touch them. Sometimes I get them in the lots and stuff I've bought or whatever. And if they're glued in or taped in and stuff like that, not the little corners, where you can slide it in and out, or the plastic sleeves, I just sell the album. It's not worth my time to try to heat these up, get them off of there. You end up destroying the card or pulling the paper off. It's not worth the time for the amount. If they're average cards, for sure. If there's one in there worth a huge amount of money, you can cut around and do something. But most of the time, it's not worth the hassle with that stuff. So always be careful of glued in or taped in albums. Some people use that glue and it just kind of pulls everything apart. So always be careful with that. But I usually just line them up and sell it for whatever. If I take a loss on it sometimes, just to move it. I got one out there on Ko-Fi right now. I think it's an international one. Pretty neat one, but it's just something I don't do. So maybe someone else can do something with it. That's what I usually do, is I get it out to people. Thanks, Sandy. And then Patient Picker, it sounds like he's a sports card guy looking into postcards. So he might have saw the channel and he's asked some good questions. Questions are always good because it refreshes me and others, and it also helps you. So don't be afraid to leave any questions. You want to talk about the edges of postcards, or what's this? Sometimes I might have to dig to remember what it is, or maybe it's a question I don't know. I don't know everything about all this. I learn every day. There's a certain level you got to get to, but there's certain things about postcards that it just blows my mind once in a while. I never thought of it that way. Or, yeah, I know what that is a lot of times. I know a little bit about a lot, and probably not a lot about a lot. So I know a lot about a few things, but I know a little enough to be there. I know where to go get more information on it, is basically what it is. You can't know everything. Patient says, how do you categorize your trading cards? So what I think this is, I'll have a trading card, maybe a NASCAR trading card, or Martian Attacks card, or a Bozo card. I think he's asking, how do I do those with the postcard? Do I separate them? No. They get categorized with a sleeve and a number and put in the eBay, and put in the boxes. They have to fit in my boxes. It's pretty much what I buy. And the trading cards too. They're just in the boxes, just like another postcard. I don't do anything separate. Now in eBay category, I got a bunch of Martian Attacks, that movie, a whole set of those, and I broke them out individually. I made a category for that, and I put it under trade cards and a subcategory of Martian. That's usually what I do there. But today we talked about motel postcards. If anybody's got some really good ones, send them in the contact at SMPostcard.com, and I'll put them in the show and tell feature I do every so often, and some good ones. And if you called eBay and you can't get through, leave a comment on the poll or in here to let us know if you found a way to get a hold of them. But I don't call them that often. I'm not an expert on that part. But thanks again. Thanks for watching. Here's some more fish. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.